Time is now 6 p.m. Our regular City Council meeting for August 25th, 2020 is now in session. First on the agenda is Councilmember Hayward will lead us with the opening prayer and the pledges of allegiance to the flags of the United States and the state of Texas. Please rise.
Everyone bow your heads, please. Heavenly Father, as I come to you today with a bowed head and humbled heart, thanking you for allowing us to arrive here safely. Lord, I come today in prayer for love, peace, and protection. Lord, let us remember to love one another as you command. Lord, as we continue to deal with the effects of COVID-19, I pray that you will slowly bring it to a close in this season. We know that many in our city are dealing with isolation and many other issues while dealing with this COVID-19. I ask that you give them what they need so that they can feel whole again. Lord, we know we need each other, and we know we have love, peace, hope, and comfort. If we ask you, you will grant that. Lord, as our nation is still in the midst of some of the chaos, I pray that you will allow it to simmer down. Lord, I ask that you give us mustard seed faith as we call upon you in the name of our prayers and ask you for what we need. Lord, I ask that you protect our first responders as they are still on the front lines dealing with COVID-19. I also especially ask a special prayer for our law enforcement officers, that you put a strong armor protection around them to keep them safe from harm. Safe from harm, as many of them in uniform, people may want to harm them. I pray for their families and give them peace of mind as their loved ones go out to perform their duties they were called to do. Father, I ask that our officers will always feel your presence and that you will continue to give them wisdom and care they need to carry out their responsibilities, especially in the heat of the moment. Lord, please let them feel the love that we have for them, and may you place in their minds words that will give them that encouragement they need. Lord, let us continue to see that your will is of peace and of abundant joy. Lord, protect our sailors, soldiers, airmen, and Marines that are serving here and abroad, as well as their families. Lord, I want to give thanks for those that you brought to Schertz to work on behalf of the city. I am thankful that they put in hard work to try and keep our city running as smoothly as possible. Lord, I ask that you watch over and bless those that serve on boards and commissions and others that volunteer around our city to keep it the best that it can be. Lord, watch over and bless and guide our business owners as they try to continue to navigate their business through dealing with COVID-19. Lord, bless our residents and keep them safe and give them peace and comfort. Lord, I pray for those that were affected by Hurricane Marco and those in Texas that will be affected by Hurricane Laura. Let them heed the warnings here in Texas to keep them safe, and let them know if they need help, Texans will do what we do best in helping one another. Now, Lord, I ask that as we make decisions on council for the residents that we represent and serve, that you give us the wisdom needed to make the right decision, not just for today, but I pray that our decisions will put us on the right path for our future. I ask these blessings in your Son, Jesus' name. Let us all say amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Councilman Hayward. Special announcement, council and guests. While seated, it is perfectly fine to remove your mask or while speaking at the podium. But as you approach the dais or depart the chamber, we respectfully ask that you place your face mask back on. We'll move on to city events and announcements. Announcements of upcoming city events. Mr. James, none? Okay. Announcements and recognitions by our city manager, Dr. Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a couple of announcements tonight, and it really has to do with deployments. So, as you know, our chiefs are always very generous when we're asked to deploy our personnel, and we always respond to the needs. And right now, we have quite a few needs in our nation. And so the first is our ambush crew. Our ambush crew has deployed, and it's now in the Beaumont, Texas area, and it's awaiting the results of the hurricane. So they'll be out there for the next few days. That's Mike Schoen, our crew chief, Tyler Boker, our driver, loadmaster, Dave Jurgen, crew, Chris Forrester on the crew, Anthony Sperduti on the crew, and Ryan Wilson on the crew. We also have one firefighter who's deployed also for the hurricane for the Swiftwater Rescue Texas Task Force, and that's Chris Meek from our fire department. We have two fire department deployments. The first is to West Texas in the Sonora area for brush fire. That's Patricio Wilson, Tyler Winka, and Aaron Escobedo. And then we also have a crew that's been deployed to California for the big forest fires that are going on there. And so that's quite a major effort for us, along with several other crews in Texas, but we were really honored to be selected for this deployment. We have 4 firefighters, Mac Melanson, Carl Schulze, Myron Berger, and Justin Shorinsky. And they left Saturday morning, and they arrived in California last night. Sunday night. They've been assigned to the Santa Clara Unit Lightning Complex fire, and that's a 347,000 acre fire. It's 10% containment at 9 a.m. this morning. So they're certainly in harm's way. We wish them the best, and we're just so appreciative of their great service to the city. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Announcements and recognitions by the mayor. As Dr. Brown mentioned, our staff employed, God bless them, and as Councilmember Hayward said, Texans help Texans, but this city is also helping another state, California. We appreciate everything our staff is doing. Thank you. We'll move on. Next on the agenda is the hearing of residents. This time is set aside for any person who wishes to address the City Council. Each person is limited to 3 minutes, and we ask before addressing the council, for the record, please state your name and address. I see the list here. No one signed up. Ms. Dennis, is there any hearing the residents submitted in writing? Okay.
I did give the mayor, council, and management staff a copy of the email. This is from Cindy Wood from the Comal County Senior Citizens Foundation. She says that this is the only organization contracted with Meals on Wheels in Comal, Guadalupe, and serves Schertz, Cibolo, and Marion, Wilson, and Karnes counties. She says our organization was established in 1984 by a small group of business people in the Bronzeville's that had a concern for the elderly homebound people of New Braunfels that were not able to have meals and have meals provided themselves. They said they are a nonprofit 501c3 organization. That program provides lunches daily, Monday through Friday, 52 weeks of the year to qualified seniors that are 60 years of age and older who are homebound, and to disabled adults over 18 years old. Homebound means that they cannot drive. To qualify people requesting to be on the Meals on Wheels program, an in-home visit for the assessment is performed on everyone, and then an annual revisit is performed each year that the client stays on the program to determine whether they are still eligible. Income is not a determining factor, they say, for this to be eligible, and the meals are provided at no cost to the clients. She said the meals are approved by a licensed dietitian and meet all the guidelines set in place by the Alamo Area Council of Governments, which supports the Alamo Agency of Aging. She says if the client meets qualification, ACOG, the Alamo Agency qualifications, then they will accept the client's request, and then they assign a coordinator, which believes that this person should receive home-delivered meals, and the meals is then considered unfunded. To pay for unfunded meals, she says, the Comal program relies on donations, grants, and fundraisers to help cover the cost of the meals. She said last year they provided over 40,000 unfunded meals at a cost to them at $4 per meal. They are currently providing home delivery meals to 725 homebound people in all 4 counties and serving 11,000 meals a month. She said they partner with the New Braunfels Food Bank for the preparation of meals. What she's asking for is they rely on volunteers to deliver the meals, and that right now they have over 550 volunteers to serve in all the 4 counties that make the deliveries, and without this program, it would not be able to be successful. Besides delivering the meals, the volunteers are also doing a virtual check to make sure the client is okay. If there is a problem or something doesn't seem right, the volunteer will contact the volunteer coordinator or manager of the Meals on Wheels program and let them know. They then will contact the emergency contact that they have on file for the Meals on Wheels client and then go from there. Sometimes the volunteer is sometimes the volunteer that delivers the Meals on Wheels is the only contact that the client or the elderly has with another person all week long. The Meals on Wheels program is a very necessary program that many homebound individuals rely on. As a nonprofit, they rely on donations, grants, fundraisers, etc. for money to keep this program running. As more and more nonprofits are being formed, it is getting harder and harder to find funding for the program. She wants us to tell others about the program, and if they have any interest in helping the seniors and disabled in our communities, there's always help needed, whether to be volunteers or by donating. She says any help that you can give is truly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dennis. We'll move on to consent agenda items. Consent agenda items are considered self-explanatory, and information packets are provided to council and available for public viewing. These items require no separate discussion unless requested by council. Item number 1, approval of the minutes regarding the special meeting on August 7th, 2020, and the minutes regarding the regular meeting on August 11th, 2020. Item number 2, resolution number 20R95, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing agreements with the Drug Enforcement Administration and other matters in connection therewith. Item number 3, resolution number 19R94, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing the city manager to enter into an interlocal agreement for fire protection services with Bexar County and other matters in connection therewith. Item number 4, resolution number 20R96, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Barntex Materials for asphalt, hot mix, and related materials and other matters in connection therewith. Item number 5, resolution number 20R93, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, amending resolution number 20R67, which called for the November 3rd, 2020 City of Schertz joint general election with Comal County, Bexar County, and Guadalupe County, and approving the Comal County Agreement/Memorandum of Understanding, the Bexar County Agreement/Memorandum of Understanding, and the Guadalupe County Elections Contract, and by revising the early voting period. Item number 6, ordinance number 20H25, an ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, amending Chapter 34, Health, amending parts of the ordinance in conflict with this ordinance and providing an effective date. This is also our final reading. Item number 7, ordinance number 20T27, an ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing an adjustment to the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance and providing an effective date. This is also our final reading. And finally, item number 8, ordinance number 20F26, an ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, repealing an ordinance of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Schertz and adopting a new ordinance with an updated provision regarding the collection and disposition of solid waste and recyclable material in the city, providing for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing severability clause, and providing an effective date. This is our first reading. Council, is there any of these consent items that need to be removed for separate action? None? Is there a motion to approve consent agenda items 1 through 8?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made by Councilmember Haywood, second by Councilmember Scagliola. Any other comments? If none, let's call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, did Councilmember Dollar vote? I'm not sure.
Aye.
Okay, we have 7 ayes, no objections. Thank you, Councilmember Dollar. Motion passes. All right. Yes, Councilmember Dollar is joining us virtually by on the monitor there. All right, we'll move on to public hearings. We have 2 of them today. Item number 9, public hearing and presentation on proposed adoption of our city budget for the FY fiscal year 2020 and 2021. This is our first reading required, our first required public hearing. Mr. Walters, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll go through an abridged, highlighted portion of the presentation we went through last time, only 7 slides, and then we can open it up for the public hearing. So the budget that was submitted to Council had an all-funds budget of $89,444,000. 41% of that was the general fund, 28% was the water and sewer fund, and encompassed the operating budget and new capital expenditures for FY 2021. Staff estimates the net change in fund balance will be a decrease of $1.9 million across all funds for an ending fund balance of $61 million. In the general fund, the notable new programs include a comprehensive land use and unified development code update, some additional CIP funding, additional funds for facility maintenance, the class and complementation, including the employment cost index, and funding of personnel recommended by the staffing study. In the water and sewer fund, upcoming projects include the loop lines, Corbett ground storage tank, FM 1518 utility relocation, Aviation Heights water line replacement, and the North Cliff Country Club design and bid for the AC pipe. And the EMS fund is proposed to hire a full-time instructor for EMT and other classes, add 2 12-hour full-time paramedics, and add a 24-hour full-time paramedic. The drainage fund will begin work on the Amazon Channel drainage project next year. The economic development, we have approved incentives estimated to pay out next year of $3.1 million. And of course, the Tri-County road improvements will kick off at just over $4 million. Yeah. That's what we have proposed in the budget, and I'll turn it over to Council to open the public hearing.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Walters. This item is on the agenda as an open public hearing. Is there anyone in attendance who'd like to address the council in reference to this subject? Okay, second notice for any comments regarding this public hearing. Final notice for comments regarding this public hearing. Public hearing is now closed. Council, this is just a public hearing. No action is required, but the floor is open for discussion. Councilmember, Mayor Pro Tem Scott.
Yes, during the last city council meeting, I had raised several issues about the class and comp study, and during Councilwoman Hayward's prayer, I was really moved to let y'all know, the managers, I think you're doing a fantastic job. I think that we're very fortunate to have you, and in no way did my concerns about the budget reflect on your performance. A servant is worthy of his labor. I want y'all to know that, okay? And we do appreciate you very much. I kind of want to echo what Councilman Larson said a couple weeks ago, maybe it was last week, I don't know, about how something you might think is a burning issue, then somebody else doesn't matter to them at all, like the magazine or trails or this or that. It's very hard to prioritize what's important from what's critical, and those are two different things. And so I think that we are making a concerted effort to move in the right direction. And, I don't really want to go from there. I just had it in my heart to say that. I did. It's very tempting to go through and pick apart line by line by line, and that I don't think that's tenable. My one question I had when I was reflecting through the week was regarding the UHF channel that that you budgeted for. Do you think that will come online in 2021?
We could look at that. We have the master communication plan, and we
Yeah.
can get you a copy of that, and then I'll outline the planned projects those funds are to be used for. Right now, we're still working on connectivity between all of our locations, and the majority of the funds are going to that currently. The channel, that's what it's meant to be used for. The ultimate goal, I believe we're still a ways off from that, making that a reality.
Okay. And then my other point I would like to make is, I don't know how to do this, or maybe you can help me. I know there were some concerns because 4 or 5 years ago there was a class comp study that showed we were 34 or 35% behind, and then 4 or 5 years in the future we were just about that much too. So maybe we could wait a little longer till the next one comes along. A lot can change in 4 or 5 years. I hope to God the economy comes roaring back and everything's good to go. But that's it. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Councilmember Scagliola?
Yeah, James, let me echo what Mayor Pro Tem Scott was saying. You do a tremendous job here. Don't ever forget that. When it comes to the funding, the numbers you were reading off, it looked to me like some of the monies were coming out of the water fund, some of them were coming out of the EDC fund, and others out of the public works funds. For example, the FM 1518 rework, that's bond money. So, how exactly are we rolling all that into this year's budget if we'll be paying off those bonds for 30 years or whatever? And if the water fund is pretty much self-funded, how does that really affect the going rates?
Sure. So this is a breakdown of all the funds individually we have. So the general fund, the INS, the water and sewer fund is meant to be self-funded. We do have bond money scheduled for 1518 for the construction. The city is responsible for moving its utility lines out of the way. The responsibility of that falls in the water and sewer fund. So those fees will go towards that project. Currently, we are looking to issue debt for the relocation of the water lines. With all the other projects we have going on in water on the list we mentioned, I believe all of these are planned to be done with fund balance except for the utility relocation. So we have the construction reserves and we're trying to pay cash for those. We do have working on a new utility CIP and a master plan that will kind of outline all of these projects. We have something that we've been working on with Suzanne, is here in the audience now. So we've been working close with her to map out which utility projects are capital recovery eligible. How much can the capital recovery put towards those? How much do we actually need to bond? And how much can we pay with cash? At one time, we thought we could pay everything with cash, and that the utility lines, the FM 1518 utility, would have to be moved up in the queue because of the timing of TxDOT, and because of that move forward, we didn't have the money for it compared to all the other projects. So that was why bond money was considered for that one. As far as some of the other, so all the projects on this list is responsible for the water and sewer fund. As I mentioned in the retreat, the actual improvements to 1518, the city is responsible for putting in about an additional $9.4 million. We've already put in about $600,000. That is what the general fund, I say the general fund, is responsible for, and that's what comes out of the INS and the taxes raised from the INS. We had planned for those. That's why our INS rate didn't change this year. It's not proposed to change. But that one's sort of the last big project kind of set in stone. And then we're able to move some other projects around and look at the direction that we got from council to see how much we could move the INS, taxes raised from the INS to the general fund to pay cash for those projects going forward instead of continuing to issue bond funds. So I think that was what your question, if you had more information or wanted to.
No, that was very comprehensive. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I don't have any more questions, sir.
Okay. Council, any other questions? Just have one quick question for you. On the water and sewer fund, do we actually have a capital improvements fund for this? Do we know what the balance is?
So we have a capital recovery, and sort of the fund balance here is what we'd expect. So the capital recovery, that's on new development. So those projects are only to increase the capacity of our system. Those include like the elevated tower at Corbett. It's a brand new tower to provide water to all those properties out there. We have the same thing, capital recovery sewer. It's most of those funds right now are geared and assigned to put in the woman hollering trunk line so that all of the waste developed in that region can be taken to the new treatment plant by CCMA down there. And the water and sewer fund generally are to maintain and replace our existing infrastructure. And right now we have about $10 million in estimated fund balance. We want to keep about 26% of operating expenses in there. So we have, I believe, about $6 million to work with for new projects and replacement projects.
All right, thank you.
Mayor, so the capital recovery, those are the impact fees.
Those are the, okay. Thank you, Mr. Walters. Any other question? None? All right, thanks. We'll move on to item number 10. It's also a public hearing regarding the adoption of the fiscal year 2020-2021 on the proposed tax rate. This is our first required public hearing also. Mr. Walters, you have the floor again.
So a brief presentation, about 7 slides, just touch on the highlights. Our 2020 property values that we're basing the tax rates off of. Our 2019 taxable value was $3.75 billion, and in 2020 our property values were $3.9 billion. Overall, an increase of about $151 million. Based on that, we have 2 tax rates that the state has us calculate. One is the no new revenue. That's the tax rate which will generate the same revenue for the city on property from the previous year's tax roll. We also have the voter approval rate. So this is the highest rate council can set without triggering an automatic election on the tax rate. And I'll show you the current rate and the proposed maximum. So the no new revenue rate was 0.5079. The voter approval rate was 0.5247. The current rate is 0.5146, and the proposed maximum was 0.5146. That was the proposed budget was assumed that rate, and council set that as the preliminary maximum. So even though we have room to go up to the voter approved maximum rate, council has set the preliminary. The notices have already gone out, and council can no longer go above 5146 on the final vote. You can go lower, but you can no longer go higher. We can go higher, but we require us to issue a new notice and schedule another public hearing. So the tax rate, as proposed originally, for M&O, the maintenance and operations, the day-to-day funding for the city, would go from $34.96 to $34.95. And the INS, which goes to pay the city's debt, would go from $16.50 to $16.51. Overall, no change from the current rate. The average tax bill at the no new revenue rate, for 2019, the average tax bill was $1,200. The new average tax bill would be $1,241, including all of the new buildings that were developed and all the new homes that were developed that helped increase that rate. It's a $41 increase on the average tax bill. At the current rate, $51.46, the new average tax bill would be $12.58, increase of $17 from the no new revenue. And then just to get an idea, we can no longer go to this rate, but the new average tax bill at the voter approval rate would be $12.82, an increase of $41. Historically, we've been at $51.46 for the past 2 years. The original proposal was be at 5146 for another year. The most of the increase over this time period from 2006 has been in the INS rate. That contributed to the increase in the overall tax rate. All right, that's what I have for.
Thank you, Mr. Walters. Again, this item is on the agenda as an open public hearing. Is there anyone in attendance who would like to address the council in reference to this subject? Okay, second notice for comments regarding this public hearing. Final notice for comments regarding this public hearing. Public hearing is now closed. Council, again, this is just a public hearing. No action is required, but the floor is open for discussion. Councilmember Scott.
Yes, I have a simple question. And I'm asking you to look in a crystal ball. I don't even know if it's a fair question. Do you, or does the city anticipate the property values going up next year in light of the pandemic? Or what do y'all think? Or is it anybody's guess? I have no idea.
We haven't, last time the property value stopped or decreased in the last recession, there was a lot of layoffs and a lot of foreclosures, and Schertz was affected later in that due to our citizens and the jobs they hold and the relative consistent job market and money coming in from the military bases. At this point, we have not heard of a lot of foreclosures coming up, so we'll have to see a little bit longer. The job market looks like it's getting better. If that trend continues, we could still see increase in the home value. And as Councilmember Brown mentioned at a previous workshops and the retreat, there's still a demand for new homes, which will continue to increase the value of property.
Okay, council, any other comments? Thank you, Mr. Walters.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to item number 11. That's workshop discussion and update regarding the COVID-19 virus in our current ordinance number 20H18, our declaration of local disaster. Chief Long?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Switch this out. Okay, we'll just give a quick overview. You know, the main takeaway starting out with is things are continuing to look better. So that's positive news. Right now, pretty much across the board, our current numbers, so Guadalupe County's sitting at 212 active cases. So that's went down from, I think, about 260 or so last time I was here. So that's good news. Schertz is still staying in the 50 range. We seem to be in a track now where we've got 7, 10, 12 come off the list and 10 go back on the list. So we're kind of staying in that 50 active range, and that's kind of what we're seeing in the county as well. We're seeing still smaller numbers. We're just kind of trading some off and some new come on, and it's staying kind of in that 10, 20 range each day is kind of what we're seeing. Bexar County, again, some positive news there. Dishes is showing now that they're down to 2971 active cases. Comel, again, they were in the 500 range last time I was here. They're down to 477. And so again, just to kind of give that perspective of Dishes Region 8, last time was 18,008 or 900, something like that. So we're starting to see the whole region kind of stabilize a little bit in that bottom number there. The increases being much lower than we had been seeing across July. Again, just a quick overview. This is kind of, again, we've switched over to just showing the active county cases. And so again, this is kind of looking at Dallas is in the middle there in the gray, Houston's at the top. Bexar County is the blue line there, and so us and Comal County is at the bottom, but that just kind of shows Dallas is kind of spiked just a little bit, but pretty much flat or downward trend on those active cases, so that's positive. And then to switch over just to kind of zoom in on the Guadalupe and Comal County active case count here, just kind of continues to show we're still trending in the right direction, so we're still going down a little bit, so that's positive news. And then again, looking at the mortality ratio, again, just the dishes is reporting that we Guadalupe County is at 66 deaths right now, is what they're reporting at this point. And so that's still just staying right under 3%. Ticked up a little bit. We went from 55 to 66 deaths fairly quickly over the past couple of weeks. Positivity rate, again, more downward trend there. State positivity rate last time was 24.5. It's went down to 16.24 now. And you know, other good news in that daily positive case count was around 7,000 last time, and it's dipped below 3,000 now. And our Guadalupe County positivity rate went a tick down to 12% at this point. So we're starting to, or continuing to see the right trend. Things are continuing to go down. We're starting to see the numbers kind of stabilize, so that's positive news. And then the state data, hospitalizations, again, last time was about 7,400 down to 5,000 now. So that's a good trend that we're continuing to see. And then just to zoom in on our hospitalizations here in Bexar County, you can kind of see we've went from 725 last time to 473 now. ICU patients continue to go down by about 100. Ventilator patients continue to go down. And, you know, kind of what we're seeing is it appears like more routine things are going back to the hospital as you continue to see that non-COVID hospitalization number kind of tick up a little bit each time as the COVID numbers go down. So that could just be that people are starting to feel more comfortable to go back to the hospital and stuff with some of their illnesses as they see those COVID numbers go down. And that's just the quick numbers update I've got. If there's any questions.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Chief Long. Council, floor is open for discussion. None.
Why do you think that, and again, speculation, just because I'm always inquiring, why do you think Guadalupe seems to be doing, you know, markedly better than Comal County? And the populations aren't that different, you know, the sheer numbers of people.
Yeah, that's going to be hard to answer at this point. I think, you know, at this point, it's, you know, hopefully more people are taking more actions that's helped it go down. You know, again, like you said, it's just purely all we could do is speculate at this point on what it is, but you know, that's all I could really say is hopefully we're continuing to see, you know, people have, I think, taken it serious at this point and taken more actions possibly when they're out and about and just more cognitive of their surroundings, maybe.
Thank you. Good job.
You also have the river, and so, you know, for quite a while they were having big crowds, and I think they've since closed that down, but so it's possible.
All right, Council, any other questions? Thank you, Chief. I'd love to see those numbers go down even more. Yes, thank you. All right. We'll continue with a roll call confirmation. Our City Secretary, Brenda Dennis, will provide a roll call confirmation for consent agenda items 1 through 8.
Yes, Mayor. Consent agenda items 1 through 8. A motion was made by Councilmember Hayward, seconded by Councilmember Scagliola. Mayor Pro Tem Scott, Councilmembers Davis, Larson, Dalla, Scagliola, Hayward, Brown voted yes. No one voted no. Motion passed. That is it.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Dennis. We have 3 closed sessions. I have a lot of reading to do so that we can cover the subject as to what we're going to discuss.
Mayor?
Yes.
If I could just make a suggestion. We do have the attorneys here from Austin for
Okay.
Item 14. We might want to take that first.
Okay. We'll go ahead and we'll address that one first. Let's go ahead and read all 3 items. We'll have items number 12, 13, and 14 are closed sessions. Item number 12 is the City Council will meet in closed session in accordance with Section 551.087 of the Texas Governmental Code. Deliberation regarding economic development negotiations, closed meetings. The governmental body is not required to conduct an open meeting to discuss or deliberate regarding commercial or financial information that the governmental body has received from a business prospect and that the governmental body seeks to have, locate, stay, or expand in or near the territory of the governmental body and with which the governmental body is conducting economic development negotiations, or 2, to deliberate the offer of a financial or other incentive to a business prospect. This is in reference to Project E-062. Also, item number 13, the City Council will meet in closed session in accordance with Section 551.072 of the Texas Governmental Code to deliberate the purchase, exchange, sale, lease, or value of real property or real estate needed for future right-of-way. And item number 14, the City Council will meet in closed session in accordance with Section 551.071 of the Texas Governmental Code to receive legal advice from its attorneys regarding the following litigation. This is in reference to 4 court cases. The first is cause number D-1-GN-18-000535, Green Valley Special Utility District versus Public Utility Commission of Texas. Deanne T. Walker, Arthur D. Andrea, Brady Martin Marquez, in their official capacity as commissioners of the Public Utility Commission of Texas. Brian H. Lloyd, in his official capacity as Executive Director of the Public Utility Commission of Texas, or his successor, in the City of Schertz, Texas, in the 419th District Court of Travis County, Texas. The second case is case number 18-51092, Green Valley Special Utility District versus the City of Schertz, Texas. Deanne T. Walker, in her official capacity as Chairman and Commissioner of the Public Utility Commission. Arthur C. D'Andrea, in his official capacity as the Commissioner of the Public Utility Commission. John Paul Urban, in his official capacity as Executive Director of the Public Utility Commission of Texas. Brian James, in his official capacity as the City Manager for the City of Schertz, Texas, and Shelley Balkin in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit. Case number 3, case number 07-20-00167-CV, the City of Schertz and Cibolo Creek Municipal Authority versus Texas Commission on Environmental Quality in the Green Valley Special Utility District in the 7th Court of Appeals, Amarillo, Texas. And the fourth case, case number 19-51056, the City of Schertz versus the United States Department of Agriculture, acting by and through George Irwin, Sonny Perdue III, Secretary of Agriculture, Rural Utilities Services, acting by through Ed Hargett, State Director, Green Valley Special Utility District, in the United States Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit. That's quite a bit. Okay, due to social distancing rules, those not participating are requested to step outside the building. We will call you back when the council reconvenes to our regular session. The time is now 6:45. We will reconvene after our discussion. Everybody's back. Everybody's back. Okay, the time is now 7:43. We reconvene into a regular session after our discussion and deliberation regarding our closed session. In reference to, we went item number 14 first. Legal advice reference cause number D-1-GN-18-00035, Green Valley Special Utility District versus Public Utility Commission of Texas in the 419th District Court.
Okay, do we need to read all those again?
I don't think, okay. We'll just go over the case numbers then. Case number 18, okay. The second case is 18-51092. Case number 07-20-00167. And case number 19-51056. The time we started was at 6:49. Time ended 7:18. No action required. Also, item number 12, economic development negotiations. The time we started was 7:19. Time ended was 7:31. No action required. And agenda item number 13, to deliberate the purchase or exchange, sale, lease, the value of real property or real estate needed for the right-of-way. The time we started was at 7:32, and the time we ended was 7:40. No action required. So there is no action required, therefore no roll call confirmation is needed. So we'll move on to information announcements. Agenda item number 15. An update on the city's quarterly financial report. This is an information packet that was provided to council and is available for public view. So we'll proceed with requests and announcements. Further announcements by our city manager, Dr. Brown.
Yeah, I just had one quick one. I want to show you this. So, how do I get this full screen? This guy? There we go. So that's our crew that left on Saturday, and the brush truck that they drove all the way from here to California. This was at the rally point down at the National Guard Armory by Fort Sam. So once again, great work by our fire crew.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Council, any possible updates or information that you like to request from staff? No. Council, any possible items you'd like to be placed on the future agenda? None? All right, announcements by council members or events attended. Mayor Pro Tem Scott?
Not at this time, however. Congratulations to the city staff for rising to the occasion and serving not only our communities, but our fellow Americans. That's fantastic.
Okay, Councilmember Davis?
Nothing, sir.
Councilmember Larson?
Nothing.
Councilmember Dalla?
Just went to the senior center for their bingo last week. That was a lot of fun. And then just want to say a big thank you to all the first responders going to all points across the country. They're helping out with the various things that we're offering our services to help out with. So thanks to those guys for doing a great job on that.
Okay. Councilmember Scagliola?
Nothing tonight, sir.
Councilmember Hayward?
Yes, I attended the chamber luncheon where I received my graduation certificate for completing the Chamber Leadership Corps program. That was 6 months of different aspects of leadership. I went to the tax rate and budget town hall meeting. I attended a Texas 21 Zoom meeting. Texas 21 is a grassroots organization that works to improve the transportation infrastructure in the state of Texas and Oklahoma. And I was given a courtesy link to see what they're all about. Did the Caterpillar Chamber Bowl, which is a fundraiser for DECA to raise money and give to Clemens and Steele. It was a lot of fun, and we know that next time we bowl, we need to have Mr. James Walters on our team. He's a ringer. And then I attended the Tri-County Annual Golf Tournament where I helped them with the putting green competition because I'm not a golfer. And that is all.
Okay, Councilmember Brown? Okay, just want to pass on my congratulations to Councilmember Hayward for completing the Leadership Corps class. I also attended the Chamber Bow. The time is now 7:48. We stand adjourned.
I said 4 months. I know. Okay.